I have joining me now via Skype, Chief Executive Officer, AFRINVEST Ayodeji Ebo. Ayodeji Ebo, it's great to have you join us on the show to discuss more on the falling trend of foreign reserves and analysis of excess crude account balance. Now, how does this really come to you? The figures, it looks very worrisome between January and December 2019, about $4.something billion. Now we're looking at just this year with $1.64 billion. What do you make of these figures?
Yes, thanks for having me. It's really concerning with the level of the external, the excess crude accounts. If we recall when we had the significant dip in oil prices in 2007, 2008, what we had to save that served as a buffer was the excess crude oil account, which supported with what we had in our external reserves. But with the reserve below $100 million, it's as good as there's really nothing in the reserve. And if you look at the rate at which the coronavirus has been escalating, keeping oil prices below our budget benchmark, if that is sustained for long, then it's really going to impact in terms of our FX revenue. You highlighted about 90% of our FX come from oil, and you also know in terms of the revenue oil revenue we're expecting is also more than 50% from oil. So with the shock that we're currently having, with the current oil price, $53 per barrel relative to our budget benchmark, $7 per barrel. That really caused concern. And with the rate at which the external reserves have been depleting in the past few months, if it continues, if you just run the analysis and you continue at that rate, within the next 100 days, if there's no significant improvement in terms of oil price or maybe to raise Eurobond to support, then the CBN will be under pressure to see how they want to manage the naira.
Ayo, so that means you're on that line. You agree with the fact that over-dependence on crude oil for over 60% of fiscal revenue and 90% of forex inflows is part of the CBN governor alluded to this. So talking about these shocks, what can we do to cushion the effect?
Yes, I think there's nothing new that I would want to talk about that we've not discussed in terms of diversifying our revenue base. When you look at the way the GDP is structured, you look at there's the agri sector which contributes significantly to our GDP, and in terms of employment, employs the highest number of employees. What we need to see how we want to intensify effort. There's been a lot of intervention fund within that space, but no amount of intervention fund would unlock the potential within that space if we don't take care of security. So if we need to see how we take care of the issue regarding security, then you also want to look at the value chain within the agri space in terms of storage, so that in terms of the effect that you have regarding prices would also be taken out. Then manufacturing is very critical. The cost of doing business are continuing to go up, especially for the manufacturing companies, because they've had to provide transportation in terms of road, provide their power. All these things also accumulate significantly. So these are some of the critical sectors that we need to have deliberate effort in terms of trying to see how we want to make those sectors work perfectly, such that can continue to earn non-oil revenue from this sector. So what will typically happen when you look at the manufacturing, the trade sector, is if we're able to get more activity within that space, it will help in terms of the tax that comes to the government. And as a result, that will bring down the dependence on oil revenue.
Ayo, I'm going to ask you this very straight. If this reserves drop below $30 billion or $25 billion and crude oil prices falls below $50, $45, what do you think would happen? Floating the naira or devaluing the naira, floating the exchange rate?
I think the CBN governor has been able to help us, has given us a guide since last year in terms of what's the level or the threshold that would warrant or prompt a devaluation based on his own based on the threshold provided. We expect that if external reserve draws below $30 billion, then they would be they may want to consider a devaluation. However, we are not expecting that the reserves will drop to that $30 billion before the CBN should devalue. We feel that the CBN should devalue once the pressure persists and there's no major hope of a resuscitation in terms of the oil prices that would help improve the external reserves. Also, the guide around oil prices, I think it's below $50, which currently we're approaching as at today about $53 per barrel. So we feel that if this crisis in terms of the global crisis, coronavirus continues, then we may see a devaluation earlier than expected. We are aware that the government is trying to raise Eurobond, about $3 billion. So even if we're able to get that, that means we may just buy time in terms of when the devaluation will come. But I don't think, we don't think it's sustainable at this rate as the external reserves deplete on an weekly basis goes down by almost $300 to $500 million. So that's if you do your analysis or run a trend analysis on that, you would see that within the next 100 to 150 days, the reserves may actually be below the $30 billion threshold that the CBN governor has hinted.
Let's round up with the need to pursue policies that would help foster macroeconomic stability. Some are saying that's what we need at this time. Let's round up with that, Ayodeji, economic diversification and all of that to be able to get more forex.
Yes, I think the first thing that I will just reemphasize that the government needs to do is to see how they want to encourage businesses. The manufacturing sector that also accounts for significant employment in Nigeria. For us to have that inclusive growth, we need to see how we want to improve the incentive within that space. For most of them, you look at across from the industrial goods, from the consumer goods sector. For most of them, with our port system that it has, it takes you the number of days it takes you to even to import goods. That would add to the cost of production. And when you look at in terms of consumers' wallets, that has continued to squeeze as a result of other challenges that we're having in terms of inflation rate, cost of goods going up. So disposable income is really perfect. So if we need to focus in terms of diversifying that space, we expect that the petroleum sector, in terms of the PID, would be passed before the end of this year so that it can open that sector up for investment. The power sector, we're optimistic that the implementation of the new tariff will kick off in April. That will also open up that sector for potential investment. Then if coming to trade, we know we have more informal sector, so there needs to be an incentive to bring in the informal trade into formal trade for the government to be able to capture the revenue within that space. So by and large, it's more focused on working on some of these critical sector. And lastly, partnership with the private investor is also very critical. Contribution of government to GDP is less than 10%. So we can't continue to depend on government expenditure to grow our economy.
Okay.
Private investment is critical.
All right, Ayodeji Ebo, the Chief Executive Officer, AFRINVEST Securities. Thank you very much for your insight into the topic of discourse.